Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Cassidy Carson, and this is the life of a writer. As you can see, I'm back in my upstairs loft guest room with my trusty typewriter, my old Smith Corona DeVille cartridge 1 that I showed in a previous video. And I did get a replacement cartridge, so it is working. I have tried it. It is still missing a key, but that's okay because I know which letter it is, and can also maybe attempt to get a 3D printed version at a local library. I know some libraries offer the capability of using 3D printers, so that might be something I try at some point, and if I do, I'll bring you along. But in the meantime, you may be wondering why I'm back up here with my typewriter right now. And the reason is that today is February 6, 2026. So what better time to start thinking about Halloween than right now? I know, it's coming up on Valentine's Day. You can see my love bug on the bed back here, and I still have a Valentine's tree in our primary bedroom. But the reason I'm thinking ahead this year is that I had plans for October of 2025 that I did not end up following through on because I didn't give myself enough time. So here we are, let's see, we're in the second month, about 8 months out, I believe, from October and the spooky season. So I want to start working on my project for Spooktober 2026. Now, my plan is that I want to write some poems in a similar style to Edgar Allan Poe. In 2024 and 23, I believe also, I did some videos called Spooktober with Edgar Allan Poe, where I read some of his poems and short stories. And that playlist is still available, so you can go and check that out at any time. It's a little interesting because I was refreshing myself on Edgar Allan Poe. I've been a fan ever since I was a kid, and I first read The Telltale Heart. That's one of my favorites. I think that, The Cask of Amontillado, and The Raven would be my favorites. So I have started to research poetry a little bit, especially the poetry of Edgar Allan Poe, and what type of rhyme and meter scheme he uses for that. So at one point I did take some poetry classes in college, and I had a poem published in this book in 1997. This is published out of Wales. It's really cool because it's got a cloth kind of puffy cover, and it was a poetry contest that I did not win, so I did end up purchasing this copy of the book. I believe the winners got a free copy, but let me read you this poem because it is something that I enjoyed, and that was the reason that I had entered it into some poetry contests. So it is under my real name of Liz Moore, and it is the only poem I've had published. It was published in 2 or 3 places, I believe, but this is the one that I have the book for. The poem is called Massacre. Lined amongst my fellows, spine cracked and weary, pages yellowed, print faded, I await the gentle hands and eager eyes of my next reader, one who would take what I willingly give, the gift of myself. What's this? The hands that lift me are not gentle. No eyes caress my lonely pages as I am thrown atop beloved neighbors. Away we are carted to a place where thousands of others, such as ourselves, scream. Human figures, contorted by red and yellow light, cast grotesque shadows upon darkened ground. Heat blackens fragile pages as my words disappear. I am consumed by the fires of Nazi hate until nothing remains but a stack of ashes, my knowledge forever lost. So you can see what the poem is about, and obviously it is something dear to my heart because I am a writer, and the destruction of books is a painful subject. So especially if it is destruction because the information in the books is being banned. But that's a topic for another time. Right now we're talking about poetry, and I don't recall what the assignment was, but I did write that in my poetry class in college. This was published in 1997, so it's coming up on almost 30 years now. Good grief. I was an older non-traditional college student and didn't get my bachelor's degree until I was around 40. I think it was in my late 30s, close to 40. But this was actually in my community college class at our local, it is now called Western Nevada College, but at the time it was Western Nevada Community College. And I have enjoyed learning more about writing and the writing process. I enjoy studying writing, but I haven't done it for a very long time. So that's why this year I am setting myself the task of studying Edgar Allan Poe in particular. I'm going to take some time to read through his poems. I did find an interesting article this morning, and I'm going to read through that. It talks about the trochaic meter and the rhyming scheme in The Raven, and I want to learn more about that. The terms are familiar, but it's been so long since I studied them that I really need to refresh my memory. And it is a good writing exercise because I am writing paranormal romance novels at the moment, but I like to spread my wings a little bit and think about things other than what I'm working on in a variety of different disciplines. I'm actually also behind my typewriter here. I have my sewing machine, and I sew and I paint and I sketch and I do all kinds of different artistic pursuits, or I'm getting back to doing all those different artistic pursuits. And actually the sketching and painting might come into play with my Spooktober project for this year, because I may create my own cover and sketch it out. And I'm currently working on a logo for the Restless Spirit series that I hope to finish soon. I've got it basically sketched out. I just need to color it in, and I want to use that for my series because I had a very specific idea in mind. So getting back into the learning phase of life a little bit. Not that I don't learn, because if you watched yesterday's video, I did learn how to fix the boiler on our furnace, which was unexpected, or at least I was able to fix the problem that we were having yesterday. And I checked it today, it's still working okay. So my learning skills are still there. I still do things like, I've been doing math and languages on Duolingo, and I play games every morning just to keep my mind fresh. So I'm taking the Spooktober project as another way of keeping my mind active and exercised. And I'm also working in more physical exercise so that that will also help keep my mind sharp. But that's why I'm up here with my typewriter today. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my plans for this. I'm going to be typing the poems on here because I feel that it will be a different experience, because I'm looking for a very different vibe as I'm writing these poems. I want them to feel a little bit more old school. I could do them longhand in cursive or something like that and get the real, experience of how Edgar Allan Poe probably wrote. But I think it would be fun to type them up on my typewriter. Then I will probably transfer them to my computer to format, because I do want to release a small book. The current plan is I will do 31 days worth, probably either just a poem a day, some short-ish poems, because I will then read them on video and do another Spooktober playlist on here, or I may do a series of poems and throw in a few short stories that might have multiple different, not chapters specifically, sections maybe. There is a rather macabre story that I wrote in college that I am thinking of revising. I don't know where the original version went, but it stuck in my head so much that I think I could rewrite it at this point, and then I would probably maybe include that in the book as well. And so maybe it will be a short story and a series of poems or something along those lines. But I want to get that planned out and get them written over time. I'll be working on the poems one at a time up here. I may also type the short story if I do that as well, transfer them to my computer. Then I would use Atticus to format them. I would create my cover and put them up for sale, maybe just on Amazon, in case anybody wanted to get a cheap copy to follow along. I might even think about binding my own copies, because I do know how to do bookbinding as well. I learned how to repair books in my previous job as an archivist, and I have the basic skills necessary to create small, like I could do maybe a cardstock cover with a few pages inside and sew them together, and then I could do it all by hand, which could be a lot of fun. I could even handwrite it and maybe copy and print it out myself that way. So there are various different ways I can go with this project. I'm just thinking through them right now. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to work out in the end, but it's a little bit of a challenge just to keep my mind and my skills sharp and to revisit some of the things I've enjoyed throughout the course of my life, like, poetry when I was back in college. So I'm interested to know, are you a writer? If so, what do you enjoy writing? Do you write poetry? Do you write fiction? Do you write nonfiction, scripts, or are you just someone who enjoys writing things like your journal? You don't have to necessarily be seeking publication or production of your work. Just maybe you just write something for fun. You could write poetry in your journal. I would be interested to know what you're up to, and especially in the creative arts. If you are a seamstress, if you are into knitting or crocheting or painting, let me know. And I am not an expert in any of these things by any means. One of my early taglines online was "Jill of all trades, mistress of none." So I know a little bit about a lot of things. I'm not an expert in any area whatsoever, but I like to try different things. I have so many different interests that I just keep doing things when I feel like doing them. And I'm hoping to get more into that as the year progresses, because this year I'm really feeling like I'm getting into retirement finally. The first year since I retired, it'll be 2 years ago next month. The first year was really me recuperating, and I wasn't trying much of anything other than resting, and we took some pretty good trips. But aside from that, I didn't try to get back to any of my different pastimes, my hobbies, and I wasn't writing. So really got back into writing in 2025, and 2026 is going to be peppering in other things with my writing. My books are still progressing. I have book 2 of Restless Spirits in beta reads. Book 3 is waiting, and Battleborn Bride will be completed, I hope, within enough time for me to release that in October, because I'm shooting for Nevada Day, October 31st, 2026, because that book is specifically related to Nevada statehood and Carson City. It will be historical fiction with a touch of romance, and I'm excited to get that book out because it's something I've talked about for many years now. I was talking about it with my coworkers before I retired, and it may be something that I actually donate to the Nevada State Archives, because I will have done a lot of my research while working there. Or actually, it wasn't necessarily research for myself. I was learning things as I was answering questions for researchers. But I will be going back probably to the Nevada State Library and Archives sometime in the next few months to work on that book, because I'm hoping to work on it maybe in the Mark Twain room at the library. So those are some of the things I have going on right now. Part of my time will be spent up here using my trusty typewriter as I work on Spooktober 2026, working on poetry. And if you are interested, this book I'm sure is not available, but if you're interested in the poem, I could probably print that out somewhere or post it somewhere just to share it, because It is an important topic, especially in these times, and always really. You know, we have to be careful about maintaining the information that's important for everybody to learn and know in order to keep our society safe. But I'm not going off on that tangent, so that's just my thought on that poem. And I thank you for joining me today for this little discussion up here in my upstairs writing loft. You may see more of this area. I may have you come along as I'm typing up some of the poems. It will be interesting because this can be a noisy little beast. So I may have to actually mute the sound of the typewriter while I'm working, but at least when I record the video, I can mute it on there. I can't mute the typewriter itself. That would be funny. I can just give you an example that you can hear the motor, and let's try that again. Touch typist, I didn't have my fingers on the right keys. There we go. Oh, anyway, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you coming along on this journey, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm Cassidy Carson, and this is The Life of a Writer. Take care.